Okay, welcome back to part 2 of me explaining what happened here and doing a little bit of explanation on the comparison of the 1991 Dodge Stealth and the Camaro. Going into it, and I'm more talking about the Mitsubishi side of it since the car was built technically by Mitsubishi, even though Dodge did design the body of the car. So we were talking about how he was talking about how it was ugly and overweight. So I think I cleared up a lot on the last one about weight. So yes, weight is a very big factor, and we should definitely consider that in racing. And if you're going to be racing, weight is a factor. The more weight you have, the more braking power you need to slow down. The more your brakes heat up, and the more they wear out.
That's true. When I'm not in a Mend engine.
But 400 pounds is usable, and it's not just like a stereo system or a body kit that doesn't actually help the air flow.
I'm struggling
or
to keep
steel wheels because steel wheels aren't really recommended for most racing applications other than rally racing. That's for a whole other video. Neither of these two cars you will ever see probably rallying unless somebody who's really just wanted to prove the odds. But my response to him was, you don't know much about the Mitsubishi 3000 GT. And I wasn't trying to be rude, but I was like, hey, I don't think you're educated on this car. I don't know why I blocked out this here. I think my pen must have missed a line here, but whatever, doesn't matter. The front-wheel drive models, that is true, but the best of them is the SL, which is the, it doesn't have the four-wheel steering like the regular base GT, 3000 GT VR4. And I just want to explain to him, but in a quarter mile, the front-wheel drive wouldn't probably win. Let me talk about that, and I'm going to show you the rest of my posts here. And then I talked about how I'm off the floor of most V8s on a track, talking about a circuit. Is it heavier? Yes. Does it handle better? Yes. Is it faster than in a straight line than the V8 muscle car? That's debatable. What I mean by that is the VR4 twin turbo is faster in a straight line. But if we're talking clearly about the front wheel drive, so I might not know much about the IROC's quarter mile time by heart, and at this time, when writing this particular message here, which if you guys want to pause at any time, you can. I'm done reading that. I didn't know much about that. I am mostly a JDM guy. I love Japanese cars. I also love German cars. I love imported cars. Imported cars are my favorite. So let's continue with that quote of the quarter mile time. So, if we go here, I believe, quarter mile time of, this is the front wheel drive version, by the way. Quarter mile time is 14.5 seconds at 93.5 miles per hour. I'm not caring about the 0.5, I'm just going to say 93. So, 14 and a half seconds. Let's look at the Camaro. That Camaro, where are you? I guess it would have helped if I would have circled what I'm looking for. Hold on, what? Oh, here we go. I think I just found it. Yep, quarter mile time, 13.933. So, honestly, that's almost 14 seconds. I'm just going to round it up for simplicity's sake here. 14 seconds and then a half a second longer. In racing terms, that's a close race. That is actually pretty close. It's not bumper to bumper close, not picture close, but he is right behind him after his car completely finished the line. His car comes up right next to it.
That's close.
That is pretty good. From a non-turbo V6 front-wheel drive. Now, the reason why in a drag race rear-wheel drive is preferred over front-wheel drive, for you that do not know this, as you accelerate, inertia pushes the weight of the car to the rear as you're accelerating. So if you have a rear-wheel drive car, more weight is being squatted back there, pushing those tires down, adding what? More traction. While you're accelerating a front-wheel drive car, you're making the front end lighter, and you're getting less traction. So what I'm saying is that's not bad. The power that the VR6... Not VR. It's not even a VR6. Why did I say that? It's because the VR4 they call it. The power that V6 is making is compensating a lot, and it's saying a lot for what Mitsubishi has accomplished in that car. So, before I get to more stats, let's continue on the conversation. So afterwards, it went to, I sent them a screenshot of the basic information of the Mitsubishi, and that was to comment on his weight, on the heavy portion of the car. Unfortunately, I didn't save this screenshot anymore. I deleted it, so I didn't even bother to redo it, but whatever. He says, "Poor you, believe me, I know." Basically mocking me. You commented on an ES model, and you also seem to forget the VR4 platform car weighed about almost 4,000 pounds and were extremely fragile. I highly disagree with the fragile. At the time, in 1991, if I could go back in time, I would still buy the Mitsubishi, but what I think he means is, because the DSMs in general, and if for you that don't know what DSM means, Diamond Star Motor, it was a collaboration between Chrysler, obviously Dodge Stealth is Chrysler, and then Mitsubishi. So what's going on here is, at that time period, they didn't have the best reliability claims. Anybody who owns a Mitsubishi probably knows what I mean. The oil leaking, the being locked up in the garage for days on end, being worked on to put back on the road. If you treated them right, they didn't have this issue, but when you beat on them, that's where the issue comes from. And that's mostly just because the way how the car was, they were just not designed to be abused. You had to abuse it a certain way, and a lot of people just got in, popped the key, and went away. However,
she sure can cry.
with that being said, they're not frail, but I will say, back in 1991, if you bought this car, let's just say, worst case scenario, you blow the water pump on both of these cars, Camaro and Mitsubishi. If you work on it yourself, you can go on to an AutoZone, O'Reilly's, Auto Parts Store, whatever, buy a water pump that day, and install it that day, fairly easy, on the Camaro. The Mitsubishi, you couldn't do that. You would have to go in there, wait for it to come in, probably 2-3 days later, then install it. And the Mitsubishi is not fun to work on. I owned an Eclipse in the past, and it had a cramped engine bay. I can only imagine how cramped the VR4 is. Well, not even the VR4 is even more cramped, but the base model, I have seen them in there, and that's a pretty big V6 for a small engine bay like that. With that being said, I will give him a point there. He has if you're only going to be able to afford one car, and you're looking for practicality and what you can do, that's a big one. And if you don't work on your car and it's going to go to a shop after a water pump blows or something, you're looking about a week to maybe even 2 weeks without a car, versus a Camaro, you drop it off in the morning and get it back in the afternoon. That is something to consider, and I'm going to take that heat for it. But he says it's a poster car sign. What a lot of people mean when they say poster car is it looks good and it doesn't drive good. Basically, don't drive your heroes. So, continuing on, and I disagree with him as a poster car. I say, want to call it a poster car, but even the front-wheel drive model is a very tough opponent. If you want, you can pause this right now and read this whole screen. That's fine. I'm not going to go into it super, but I did take this for, so you can read what I said. But I was just explaining on my side of things how the impressive engineering behind it doesn't have necessarily is a flaw on it. It's actually more of a praise to the lower displacement and cylinder counts for what it can accomplish compared to the Camaro. And I see that I'm running out of time here soon, but here's the rest. Okay.
I hate racing engines when I'm not in a engine.
His response was, well, actually, after that, I forget.
Because even with this all-wheel drive,
After that,
I'm struggling just to keep.
This is the last
the
one.
lead.
Oh, this is him responding to me. Sorry, I got confused with my own screenshots. You can pause it here. Or not. But more about this on the rest of my next video. Apparently, this is going to be a lot longer than I thought. Sorry, guys.